And we're back for part 3 of the Life is Strange True Colors LARP guide. Welcome back. That assumes you were here for part 1 and 2. So apologies. If you haven't seen those, check those links out in the description. In part 1, we talked about basic LARP guide details. In part 2, we talked about the battles and what happens when you die, if you can actually die before meeting up with the king. And today, though, we're going to rewind all the way back to chapter 1 and 2 because some choices that you make there actually affect what happens in the LARP. So we're going to look at all of those choices and consequences. I'm talking conversations, SMS messages, my block, who you are as a character. Not your character, but like your LARP character. Side conversations with Ethan, your love score with Steph or Ryan, all sorts of things that can happen just by making some choices in chapter 1 and 2. And also that infamous wink and how to get it because it doesn't always happen. As usual, if you know of anything I didn't mention in this video related to those choices and consequences, definitely let me know in the comments because I'll totally put out a retraction video to correct my obviously unclear instructions. And on that topic, if you like testing too, don't forget to check out my Patreon where you can actually join our tester and obsessor community. We actually test things together. Monthly testing calls and worksheets and flowcharts and all sorts of fun stuff that we can use to test not only Life is Strange, but other choice-based games too. Let's dig in. Okay, we're gonna start in chapter 2 in the searching for Max scene. You could optionally visit Steph here at the record store. And I'm guessing if you've only played this once, you've of course visited Steph because you get the text message and it says you should go and you follow the rules because you're a good game player. That scene is actually affected by choices you made earlier in the LARP, and that scene also affects choices later in the LARP during and surrounding it too. So there's a lot here. So we're going to kind of use it as our grounding base. And then we'll be, just a warning, fast forwarding, rewinding all through the game, but kind of using this as a grounding base for a little while at least.
Looks like Steph might be working on a new project.
Okay, so first let's visit her and knock on that window.
Hey, I'm glad you stopped by.
She'll start the conversation asking you if you've seen Ethan yet.
Have you talked to Ethan at all?
We didn't this time, and here's what happens.
He's taking it really hard.
But if you did visit Ethan by the water and either checked his emotions or talked to him or both, then it goes like this.
Have you talked to Ethan at all?
Talked is maybe too strong a word. I tried.
He's taking it really hard.
The conversation will continue and she'll mention her LARP idea.
Ethan needs something like that too. Something fun and distracting. Something like a LARP.
In chapter 1, yeah, we're going back to chapter 1. You have to check on Steph here. It's part of how you progress the story, but you can optionally ask her some other questions. If you don't ask her what she's working on, you either don't ask her anything or you just don't ask that.
I should get back to work.
Then she'll respond to Steph's question in chapter 2 like this.
Something like a LARP.
Like costumes, foam swords, that kind of thing?
Yeah, but designed just for him and Thanor.
If you did ask Steph what she's working on, she'll tell you about the LARP.
Do you know what a LARP is?
The initial question alone will trigger this next response.
Something like a LARP.
Like the one you and Gabe were going to take him to?
Yeah, but designed just for him and Thanor.
But if you also then responded that you would give it a try, that gives you a love point for Steph. And I talk about this so much in the Steph Love Score video, but I mention it here because it is actually important for something else we're going to talk about later. Back to chapter 2. Next, Steph will ask you to pick a villain for the LARP.
What do you think?
If you pick Storm Rider, a bunch of stuff happens.
Storm Rider looks like a worthy opponent. He gets my vote.
Once you leave the record shop, regardless of whatever else you do, once you leave the record shop, she'll post this on my block. I wonder what Steph's working on. It looks cool. I should DM her to find out more and see how I can help. Jesse and Steph chat a little bit, but then Alex will say, whatever it is, it looks like it's going to be shocking. You hush. Fast forwarding to chapter 3 inside the LARP, the poster in the Black Lantern will feature Storm Rider.
This kingdom has serious problems.
And of course, your final villain will be Storm Rider.
Storm Rider, the undead!
We talked about Storm Rider's attacks and all this kind of stuff in part 2 of this series, so check that out for details on any specifics about that villain. If you pick Cravius, here's how that changes things.
Cravius looks pretty badass. Go with that.
Once you leave the record shop, her first post says the same thing, but the picture's different. And this time Alex will say, whatever it is, it looks like it's gonna knock him dead. You hush. Fast forwarding chapter 3 inside the LARP, the poster on the wall will now feature Cravius. And of course, your final villain will be Cravius.
Cravius, Lord of the Underworld.
So again, check out the part 2 of the series for specifics on that. If you don't visit Steph at all in chapter 2, Storm Rider will be the villain at the end if you don't choose anything at all. And while the poster and the villain at the end will be Storm Rider, Steph does not post on my block at all. But assuming you did visit her, you pick that villain, you actually get another love point with her. I'm not going to talk about all the love points here. Again, check out that video, but I'm just mentioning the ones that are related to the LARP in some way.
There's some stuff in my comp book. It'd be cool if you could check it out. Help me make some calls.
I'll see what I can do.
And then you actually have another optional choice here in the record store. You can go fill out your character sheet.
Looks like Steph wants me to do more than just make some decisions. She wants me to play a bard.
First, if you choose to fill out that character sheet instead of walking out the door, you'll actually get another love point with Steph. And then you can pick your character name.
Let's start with my name.
By default, you can choose between Alexandra and Alto.
There's beauty in simplicity. Alto is a good name for a bard.
But if you look at Ethan's comic book before looking at the character sheet
Another issue of legendary monster hunter Thanor.
and scroll all the way to the end, to the last page, notice that when you look at the character sheet now, you have a third choice of Elwyn.
How about a throwback to Ethan's old buddy?
It's so cute. The name you choose will show up in a lot of different places. If you choose Alexandra or Alto and you look at your notes, Alex will think.
Thanor and I will make a great team.
And if you choose Alwyn, she'll think.
Let's hope I can do Alwyn justice.
It will obviously also be in the finals character sheet that Steph, put together. Then when you first meet the king, he mentions your name.
You must be Thanor's bard, Alexandra, whose songs have magical powers. So you must be Thanor's bard, Alto, whose songs have magical powers. So you must be Thanor's bard, Alwyn, whose songs have magical powers.
Chronologically, something else that happens here, but we'll get to that in a minute. So skipping over that for a second, if you go to the Black Lantern and look at the jukebox,
I wonder if Alexandra the Bard would have cracked the Tavern Top 20. I wonder if Alto the Bard would have cracked the Tavern Top 20. I wonder if Alwyn the Bard would have cracked the Tavern Top 20.
and if you look at this cute advertisement,
House Bard. Sorry, Steph. Alexandra is pretty happy with her current gig. Sorry, Steph. Alto is pretty happy with her current gig. Sorry, Steph. Alwyn is pretty happy with her current gig.
and in chapter 4, when you look at the hat.
Alexandra the Bard will ride again. Alto the Bard will ride again. Alwyn the Bard will ride again.
Okay, that's something else. If you take a look at Ethan's comic book and actually read it, it says, "The sword was last seen in the city of Carnaris. Carnaris, but it's infested with were-spiders. All who quest for the sword lose something dear to them. But I'm destined to save the realm with the sky sword. Good thing you won't be questing alone. Elwyn!" So during the LARP, after King Tavor sends you on your way, if you chose Elwyn, Ethan will usually immediately say this.
So you're seriously Alwyn?
Don't you recognize me?
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's been a long time since Carnaris.
Exactly.
Those were good times, huh? Except for the spiders.
Yeah.
Cute, right?
Ability time.
Back to the choosing. Next is your abilities.
Distortion field sounds fun, but healing serenade could really come in handy.
If you picked healing,
Healing serenade it is.
it becomes a magic ability that you can use for one turn, of course, and it gives both you and Ethan 1 health point. Sticking with healing, there are 4 optional healing scrolls that you can get. Those are more powerful than this one, and Ethan reminds you of that for sure during the healing scroll when you're looking at it at the Magpie Emporium.
So I can heal already with my music.
Yeah. But the scroll heals us completely. And it cures poison and stuff like that.
If used in the first 3 battles, it looks like this.
Healing serenade. +1 health to us.
If used in the final battle, it looks like this.
Healing serenade. Let's go with distortion field.
So Distortion Field is the other option that you can pick. It is also a magic ability, but it deals damage. When you first throw it, though, it's 0 damage. But then on subsequent attacks, 1 hit point for that villain for those 2 turns. During the first 3 battles, it looks like this.
Distortion field. 1 sound damage for the next 2 turns.
And during the final battle, it looks like this.
Distortion field.
That sound! It rattles my skull!
Also, if you pick Distortion Field, that means you didn't pick Healing. And then if you discuss the Healing Scroll instead, depending on how many Healing Scrolls you have, he just comments about them in general.
The Scroll of Healing would be really useful. We don't have any healing right now.
We actually talk more about those discussions and the different things he says in part 1 of this LARP guide series. Okay, this one is fun. I keep saying that about everything, though. Your backstory.
How did I meet Thanor?
If you pick Heroic, reading the draft you wrote, it says this.
It was a dark and stormy night.
It was a dark and stormy night, but that didn't stop the townsfolk from gathering to make merry in the amphitheater under the roof. And with beers aplenty, none noticed the beast lurking in the darkness. They didn't stand a chance. The beast attacked, killing all in its path. I fought bravely, but alas, I am a singer, not a fighter. Just as my strength failed, a brave warrior appeared, Thanor the monster slayer. Together, we fought off the beast and saved the town. But Steph kind of translates that a bit, and in the final character sheet, it actually reads this. After a harrowing attack on the Songvari Amphitheater, Alexandra the Bard has been a constant companion to Thanor the Monster Slayer. But then after you kill the direwolf, don't wander off too much because you can kind of trigger other conversations or other things that happen that will get rid of this next thing. There's actually a hidden conversation with Ethan and Alex here.
Wasn't it a pack of dire wolves that attacked the amphitheater?
The night that we met,
Yeah.
a dark memory. Our partnership was the only silver lining.
Now, if you pick funny, you'll write in your draft this.
A wolf and an ogre walk into a bar.
A wolf and an ogre walk into a bar. There I was, regaling patrons with the ballad of the monster slayer Thanor. Little did I know, the wolf's cousin has lost its life to Thanor. The vengeful beast jumped me, pinning me against the stage. Just as all hope seemed lost, Thanor arrived. He took my lute and swung it at the wolf. The wolf opened his big gullet, swallowing the instrument in one gulp. Luckily, the lute caused the wolf great indigestion. It stalked away, tail between its legs, and the night was saved. And in that final character sheet, the first sentence says this now instead. After an unusual encounter with a direwolf swallowing her lute, Elwyn the Bard has been a constant companion to Thanor the Monster Slayer. And there's another missed conversation, but this time, after you kill the direwolf and you stick around, this is how it will go.
Wasn't it a dire wolf that swallowed my instrument?
It was, but a much larger one.
And you beat it on your own? No wonder I wanted to join you.
I just love these moments because you could see how these little things add to the storyline of the game.
This LARP thing just might work.
Assuming you did fill out the character sheet, when you leave the record store, Steph will not only post about that villain on my block, but you'll also get a text like this. Hey, saw what you did with the LARP. Thank you so much. Of course. I think Ethan's gonna love it. And if you did visit her, but you didn't fill out that character sheet, so you picked that villain, she will post on my block, but because you didn't fill out the character sheet, she actually texts you this instead. Thanks again for stopping by. Anytime. And if you didn't visit her at all, you never stepped foot in that, well, no, that's not true. You can go to the record store and just not knock on that window. You can do that. So if you never knocked on the window or never visited the record store, you know what I'm saying. Then you won't get either. You will get a text after you leave the flower shop, and you have to leave the flower shop because that progresses the story. So once you leave the flower shop, you'll get a text from Steph that says, hey, think you'll be able to swing by? Sorry, I'll try. No pressure. And if you didn't visit her at all, even after that text was sent begging you to come by, you're just rude. Okay? I don't judge you. Oh, I don't judge you that much. Then your name's going to be Alexandra. Your ability is going to be healing, and your backstory is going to be heroic. And I think I already told you this, that the villain's going to be Storm Rider. There'll be no post on my blog and no additional text after begging you to come back before. She's not that needy, right? Like she'll put it out there and let you know what she wants, but she'll let you make your own choices, right? And also, fast forwarding to the apartment scene in chapter 3, just before the LARP, if you did visit her, and you don't have to fill out the character sheet, you could just visit her about the villain and that's it.
In the meantime, we have a LARP to do. Grab your hat and meet me at the park.
But if you didn't visit her at all, you never picked a villain, didn't do the character sheet, then this extra part will be added in.
In the meantime, we have a LARP to do. You're still down to help, right?
For sure. What's a LARP again?
Very funny. Your character sheet's on the desk. You should read it. Grab your hat and meet me at the park.
Okay, so after you defeat the direwolf, you could check Ryan's emotions, and there are 3 possible different variations that you can get for Ryan here, depending on a combination of your love score.
This is actually really fun.
I know, right?
And who you chose as the hottest distraction.
I thought Alex might have liked me, but no way I can compete with Steph.
Competing? Like, for me? That's... wow.
So I do talk about this a bit at on Ryan's love score video, but just to mention it here because it affects the LARP. Now, if you checked his emotions and afraid or fear shows up.
I must look like such a goofball. So much for being hot.
Hot and goofball are not mutually exclusive. At least in my book.
That dialogue option icon shows up in the corner saying something new has arrived. It's referring to an optional thing that Alex will say if you also then later chose the "it's cute" option during the serpent battle. Does that make sense?
I mean, it's kind of cute, isn't it? And not goofy looking at all.
She doesn't seem to add anything if he was sad, and I don't know why, but it's still really cute.
It's kind of cute, isn't it?
Okay, the moment we've been waiting for, or I've been waiting for. I don't want to speak for you, but I've been waiting for it. Okay, the infamous wink from Alex that only shows up sometimes, depending on how many love points you have for Steph. And I've mentioned a few on this video, but not all of them. And who you chose as the hottest distraction. Steph's emotions will either be happy, angry, or scared. If they're happy, that means you didn't get enough love points for Steph.
Thank God the LARP's working out. Alex is amazing.
Steph's amazing. Doing all of this for Ethan?
You're not currently crushing on her. She's not currently crushing on you. You can change that, but at the moment, it's not happening. So there's no way you will get the wink. It's not going to happen no matter what at this point. If you have at least 3 love points. Before checking her emotions at all, you can still haggle for her hand in marriage to get that soul gem. It still shows up. Notice it's not underlined though. So if you choose hand in marriage now, again, you never checked her emotions, you will get all of, the cute flirty scene with some exceptions. So here's what it looks like if you don't check her emotions at all.
My hand. In marriage. And all of its associated benefits.
I mean...
Oh, man.
So that's if you didn't check her emotions again, right? If you checked her emotions and she was scared.
When Alex said I'm hot, did she mean it? Or was she just messing around?
Never seen Steph feel this way before. Maybe I could reassure her. She's always so confident.
Now notice the hand in marriage is underlined. Alex adds in this little part right in the middle.
And all of its associated benefits. And you should know, I wouldn't offer if I didn't mean it.
I mean...
Oh, man.
If she was angry,
Alex is allowed to think Ryan's hot. I need to get over it.
Never seen Steph all twisted up like this before. Surely she knows she's hot too. She's always so confident.
Alex will add this in.
And all of its associated benefits. I'm sure this isn't the first time someone's asked you, given your obvious hotness.
I mean,
Oh, man.
In both of these cases, you can check her emotions again after. And now she's happy, but for a different reason. And it's not that you guys don't have a crush on each other.
I do.
Maybe when Ethan's not around.
Whether you check her emotions again that second time, it doesn't matter. You will still get that wink no matter what here. So check them, because the wink is important, people. It's important. Okay, that was a lot, but that's it for part 3. Now, part 4 is going to focus on a lot more optional conversations. There's actually a whole bunch of conversations that happen, and also a few NPC characters where you can actually change their fate later in the game. So we'll be looking at that in the next part. All right, I'll see you in part 4. Hope this helps. Bye.